Hey everybody. It's not exactly the specific date for either of these things, but I really wanted today's video to be a combination of two really big milestones. So around this date today, I will have been 5 years on T and 6 months post-op surgery. I can't believe I'm finally getting to say both of these things. It's like something that would have been unimaginable to me 5 years ago, but like, I don't know, I feel like teenage me who was living day by day, waiting only for the moment that I could feel aligned in my body, and this is exactly what he was waiting for. So for me to be able to sit here and say this already feels surreal. I will say, first of all, before getting into the whole thing, that it is a bit weird to me that my surgery date and my testosterone anniversaries are like such big numbers apart. I feel like you don't usually hear people saying like, hey, it's my this many months up and then so many years after starting T. I feel like people usually do those things closer together. It's just that for the way that my situation was, like I tried to hurry as much as possible. It took me 2 years and a half to get on T. It took me 2 years and a half, maybe 3 years even, to get my documents changed. And then I wasn't able to do that until after a year on T. And then it took a good year and a half, 2 years to get surgery after getting on the waiting list. So it's been a process. I pretty much had every single delay possible every step of the way. But I got there, and I'm happier than I've ever been, like, with myself and with my body. I wanted to make this video not just like an update, but also kind of a retrospective, because like, I feel like, you know, for the surgery, yes, it's still fresh enough that there needs to be like updates. How's the process going? What are the scars like? What does the healing look like 6 months after? And or is there anything, you know, to keep in mind at this early stage? But for something like T, like after 5 years, it's not really like, I will say, I did pretty much constant updates in the first year of T, and then zero pretty much, because changes slow down so much, but at the same time, the bulk of changes happen slowly over years. They don't happen all in the first year. And I kind of wanted to make, you know, a video like summarizing everything. I mean, like, okay, so what's it been like being 5 years on T? What's life been like? What things have changed? And yeah, if I have some wisdom for people who are just starting out on it. Like I mentioned, most major changes did not happen within the first year. I noticed every single little thing that happened because I was so excited to be on T. But I would say I wasn't genuinely a different person until after a good year and a half, 2 years. The whole first year, you see so many little things different, and nothing major is really different. Like, there's a lot of differences internally, there's a lot of things that feel different, but outside, in the like bulk of your appearance, it's not really that different, I would say. For some people, you know, some people like grow a beard within the first month and like their voice drops dramatically and they start fat redistribution already. That was not me. I started T on April 2nd of 2019. Yes, 2019. I was getting confused with years, but yes. I started T on April 2nd, 2019, and I would say most things took me a really long time to happen. My voice was a big point of contention for me, for example, because I was getting very frustrated with the way so many, you know, online trans masks make videos and updates and whatever, and usually it feels like for the most, like, you know, the luckiest few that you would see, they would get massive voice drops within the first 4 months. Like, you know, first month starts cracking, second month starts changing, and by the third, fourth month, they would have like an immature version of what their final voice was going to be. That was not the case for me. I did not have, I feel like, any vocal changes at all until 8 months, I think. And then after that, I wasn't like, I wouldn't say my voice was dropped until a year. And even then, I don't feel like my voice dropped dramatically. I am content with it now. I mean, I live with it, and people don't, you know, hear my voice and go, hey, that's a woman, so I guess that's a plus. I would say my voice is pretty androgynous. I don't think it's like a fully like masculine voice. I don't think most people will hear my voice without looking at my face and immediately assume, it's a man. I think most people would hear my voice and be like, okay, well, this could be either or. You know, people on the phone equally ma'am and sir me, depending on what they assume. So again, it depends. It depends on how I'm talking. It depends on if I have, you know, the the energy and the presence to keep my voice kind of flat, or if I'm getting anxious and I start talking kind of like this, then, you know, obviously misgendering happens, and then obviously, like, you know, seeing me face to face is a whole different thing. There's something that I noticed a lot by looking at other transmasc people, specifically voice-wise. For one, a lot of people's voices drop a lot lower than it looks like from, you know, the few lucky ones that have an immediate significant drop. The voice, you know, matures over time, because, and if it sounds like weird and natural, still feminine now, in years it will be very different. And also, a lot of people I notice don't have that dramatic drop that goes from sounding like one person to a completely different person. Most people, I feel like, have a drop that is still, like, it still sounds like the same voice. It just matures into like a more masculine sounding pattern. If your voice doesn't change too much, it is not as big of a deal as you might feel like. I think we, as the transmasc community, rely too much on the thought of completely changing our voices, because it does not do as much for most people as people would expect. And I think voice training would play a bigger role in it. It's less what testosterone does to your voice and how you use it. And most people will still benefit from doing some voice training if passing and sounding more masculine is a genuine concern. The other very big thing that, you know, was a slow process over the years was the fat redistribution, definitely. It's something that I didn't notice at all the first year. I had, I've had a contentious relationship with my body pretty much my whole life. Because I was so dysphoric, and the dysphoria led into eating disorders, because my whole entire thought pattern was, if I can eliminate as much fat from my body, then I will look more androgynous and more masculine. And I mean, that led me down some really dangerous roads. And I had come to a point where I thought I had to accept, well, I'm never gonna like my body. I'm just gonna have to accept that this is what I look like, and it sucks, but it is what it is. That was my mindset going into it. And then things happened that I really wasn't expecting. Because the first year that I went on T, I gained a lot of weight, and I feel like that's normal, especially in the starting parts of starting transition, because, you know, hormone shifts, and it's normal to have, you know, weight fluctuations around that time. Most people gain weight at the start of T. For me specifically, I feel like it was because my appetite had dramatically increased, but my metabolism still hadn't caught up to the new hormone system in my body. I was eating, you know, disproportionately. Then, literally, one day I simply decided to, you know, be more healthy about it. And it wasn't even like a restrictive mindset. It was literally just, okay, I am eating a pack of cookies every day. I think maybe I should not do that specifically. And I stopped doing that. And all of a sudden, it was like my body set in motion, this like fast track to change, which it felt like that at the time. But looking back, it was a really slow and gradual progress. Through the next few years, then my body, you know, gradually started changing, getting more masculine. I would gain muscle a lot easier, lose fat a lot easier, and genuinely I wasn't trying. I naturally fell into healthier eating patterns because, you know, I'm someone who responds very well to positive reinforcement. When I look now at my body right now versus when I first started T, the difference is insane. And I spent so long staring at making comparison pictures, staring at the tiniest little details and being like, oh yeah, that's different, oh yeah, that's different. Meanwhile, if I look now, I can tell the difference between those two pictures, besides like maybe body hair. But, and it's one of those things where like you need to latch onto the small things in the moment, and then, you know, come back to it a few years later, be like, yes, there's been change, real change over time. It's just very, very slow and constant, and slow and steady wins the race. Like trying to do everything right away, it's gonna lead you to unhealthy patterns. I will see if I can find some body comparisons from before I started tea to as recent as possible. I don't know if I have any, but if I do, they're gonna be here. Still on topic, slow and steady changes. Body hair, facial hair, those are also very slow burn things that happen. I feel like only now I am starting to get serious facial hair on my face, because for the longest time I've only had like hair under my face and like around there, like the line of my jawline, but like not on my face. Now I'm starting to get some hair like on the sides finally, and I decided to shave it off because I didn't like it. Transmasc people, newly on tea, who are starting to grow facial hair, they will just let everything out and like not shave at all because it feels more gender affirming. But I feel like you kind of need to neaten things up a little bit. It's kind of look a bit unkempt if you just let it all grow when it's like sparse in places and not there in others. And I get it. I get where it comes from. I was there too. I was the one letting like my 4 chin hairs grow out and my neck beard become carpet because that was all the hair I had. I ended up coming to the conclusion of I am just going to shave off all of the hair that is uneven and patchy. Only leave the part that, you know, grows in evenly, so that way it looks like it's intentional. Oh yeah, I totally just have, you know, a goatee and a mustache because that's what I like. It's not all because it's the only part of my beard that grows naturally well and lashes. Not at all. I feel like it suits me. I don't know. At this point, I don't know if I would suit like a full beard. Kind of really growing on the whole like this look. As for body hair, it's not a secret. I'm a really hairy person. Like I had stomach hair before tea. I had a mustache before tea. So that started coming in super easy at first. Like my stomach became a rug in like no time at all. There's so many more things that are like small, slow burn, like my chest hair. Like I started getting chest hair like almost immediately, but it wasn't really noticeable until I feel like this last year it's become really, really like noticeable. It was visible like last year too and the year before that, but now it's like I feel like it's a lot thicker and like more there. There's all those little things that you don't even think about, like arm hair. Like I had, you know, my arm hair also grew like almost immediately, but now I feel like it's much thicker now that it was like a couple of years ago. I'm starting to get hair on my shoulders. That, I mean, I assume that would happen eventually. My uncle has hair on his shoulders. It's gonna come in. One thing that I do have to lament is that male pattern baldness is a thing. How has that been going for me? Well, I feel like my hairline, I feel like it's stopped receding. Like it's come up to here and then it hasn't really gone more farther than that. That is a lot farther than I would like it to be, but I should count my lucky stars because every man on my dad's side is completely bald. My cousin went bald at 26 and I am 25, and yeah, my hairline is pretty far back, but my hair is still thick. I don't feel like there's any thinning or bald spots. Cross my fucking fingers. I'm trying to take as good care of my hair as possible, and if any balding happens, I will enjoy it to its fullest until I don't have it anymore. I think like balding subject should have like a whole entire video on its own about it, because it's one of those things that's like kind of quintessential to the human experience, not just, you know, the masculine or transmasculine experience. But there's so much that goes into it that isn't even necessarily tied to gender or transition that I don't really want to cram into this video. For now, just what I'm gonna say is just that like I feel like, you know, balding might be on the horizon for me at some point, and if it happens, I'm okay with it, but I would like it not to happen if possible. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like it's as bad as it might have looked like at first. The one thing that has been really contentious pretty much the whole way through has been my periods. Usually the trend is that a few months onto your periods should stop naturally. Obviously that doesn't happen for everyone. It's also something that I feel like it's a bit of an unfair expectation because a lot more people don't have them stop at all. Or it takes more time, whatever. Or they just, you know, reduce into like light spotting instead of being full-on periods. For me, when I first got onto it, I was on testosterone gel. The brand name here is Tostrex. I think overseas it's called Tostran, but it's the same thing. I was on Tostrex gel for a few months, and my periods did stop after like 5-6 months, something like that. And it seemed fine, everything was great, I didn't have to worry about that anymore because it was like, it's not even like it's just dysphoria inducing for me, they're just like, I just really have a bad time with periods. Like, they debilitate me physically and mentally. The emotional, I feel like I have extreme emotional dysregulation when it happens. It just is really, really bad time. When I was on gel, my periods had stopped initially, and then I was switched to injections. The brand of gel that I was on wasn't as easily findable anymore, and it's more convenient to just, you know, do a shot every now and then forget about it than just having to remember to put on gel every morning. So we're like, yeah, okay, sure, great. Immediately, like as soon as I started on injections, I would get a period whenever I would get a shot, like without fail. And I told this to my endocrinologist, and they were like, yeah, okay, looks like it's not working, we'll switch you back to gel. And I went back on gel, and my periods never went away again. Like, no, I don't know why, I don't know what, but I don't know what it was, but that, from that moment on, it just became impossible to stop them, naturally. So after a few months, I saw my endocrinologist again, and they were like, okay, well, they prescribed me medroxyprogesterone, which is the same chemical that makes up the Depo-Provera shot, but it was in a pill form. And basically the way that works is it's birth control, but it also blocks your body from producing estrogen. If you take it alternatingly, it will still keep you having periods, but if you take it every single day, don't get periods at all. So I went on the medroxyprogesterone pills, and they did stop my periods. It was fantastic, wonderful, great. The problem was that for as long as I've been taking them, the slightest delay, the moment I stopped taking them, I immediately would get a period. I've been on them for a few years now, and I saw my endocrinologist again, and they were like, you know, if you haven't had periods in a couple of years since you started these pills, surely by now your body doesn't, you know, want to do that anymore, especially since your like testosterone levels are normal. I switched to this other pill, dydrogesterone pill instead. And since it's less aggressive, it does a bit less, but it should still be effective, and lo and behold, as soon as I went on the other pill, I got my periods again. That's not been fun, it's not been great, it's been really inconvenient, and I'm gonna have a new endocrinologist appointment soon, and I'm gonna tell them to switch me back to my old pills, because clearly they worked, and these ones don't. I don't know what's up with my body, I don't know what's up with my uterus, it wants to keep working so bad. No matter what, I wish it would stop, because I don't know if I want to get a hysterectomy, honestly, to be perfectly honest. I feel like I will have to, for medical reasons at some point, just, you know, for convenience sake, to make sure that nothing bad happens, whatever. I just personally don't want to go through that right now. I feel like my transition is complete, in a sense, because I feel like I've done everything that was really pressing for me. I don't feel like I need to do anything else. I've been thinking about maybe getting phalloplasty at some point. Not the full package, just the addition, like just the phallus, without touching anything about my current anatomy. That would be more a fun thing that I would do for fun if I got the funds and found someone who knows how to do it in a way that I like, because it's not life-changing for me. It's just that, like, I'm fine with what I have right now. I'm very happy with what I have right now. Being candid, from purely a sexual like point of view, because I don't have dysphoria around being sitting down, or just my general anatomy, or my internal organs, really. Unless it would just be like a fun thing that I would want, because I unfortunately am cursed with being a top and not having the equipment to feel sensation from that act. I really don't have any problem with my internal organs. The only real issue I have with it is the fact that it causes me to have periods. I feel like I will have to at some point, I really just don't want to now. But for the time being, I'll just keep looking like pills and blockers and whatnot. It sucks to have to do when so many people just like, it's like a one and done thing, and then they never have to think about it again, but it is what it is, and that's my lot in life, I guess. Overall, these 5 years have been ups and downs, really, as life tends to be, right? But purely from a transition standpoint, it only keeps getting better, really. I had very low lows because I'm unfortunately an insecure person and unfortunately a really vain person. So I care a lot about what I look like, and I don't think like that's a sin. I think like that's just, some people care a lot about what they look like, and that's okay. And I'm one of those people. And obviously that intertwines with the dysphoria. But I feel like at this point, what I get isn't even true dysphoria or insecurity anymore as much as it's anxiety. Because I've lived 20 years of my life looking a certain way and being perceived by the world a certain way. And I've only lived 5 years. Not even 5 years, I've only lived a couple of years in the body that I have right now, and even less in the current form that it's in. Less than a year. So I'm not used to considering myself a certain way. The man that I see when I look in the mirror is not who I expect to see. It's a pleasant surprise every time, but it's not what I see in my mind's eye because I'm so used to who I used to be before. So a lot of the time, I will sit with myself and think about how much I hate certain things about myself. And I'm not thinking about myself in my current body. I'm thinking about things that are no longer there because I'm so used to assuming they're there. When I look at my face in the mirror right now, I almost shock myself because this is not what I expect to see. This is what I hope to see, but it's like I'm afraid that every single time that when I look, I'm not gonna see this anymore. And that's also been its own struggle. But it's a lot better than what it was before, let me tell you. Obviously, there's like unrealistic expectations and things that I would like to achieve that I know will never be possible. I am as happy as I could be, I think, with what I can do for my body. What I am right now is a good compromise between the secret hopes and dreams that are like absolutely unreachable and what's actually physically possible for me. Like, I didn't think that this would be possible, and I'm so grateful for it. On to surgery. So, how's these 6 months been treating me? It's been insane. I see myself completely differently, and I had no idea that something so small in theory could do so much for my body image. Like I said before, also, I am still an insecure person at my core, but I am so much more chill about it because I feel like overall the whole package is so much more me. It's an insane thing to adjust to. Also the thought of being like, well, I can be shirtless. This tank top that I'm wearing now, it's very skimpy. It's like got huge armholes. My nipples poke through it all the time. I wore it out once because it was that hot. And it's insane that I can take off my shirt on the street. I could change my shirt on the street. And I can just have my nipples out. And that's normal. Like, no one call me out about it. Because, I mean, why would it? It's a guy with a shirt showing off his nipples, whatever. It's hot outside. Everyone's doing that. It's something that I have to adjust to because I genuinely didn't care about nudity before, my own specifically. It's more a thing of I cover up because I know it makes other people uncomfortable. And also because it makes people assume things about me, about my body that I don't want them to assume. But for its own, in a vacuum, I really didn't care. Because this feeling never came from within me. It's hard to unlearn because it's such a like learned reflex of being like, must cover up because people don't want to see that. And now it's like, people don't care, actually. And it's so like, I've been trying to share selfies on social media, and it's like, I can post a shirtless picture, and it's like not a not safe for work thing. Like, everyone can just look at that. It's fine. I can post that on mine. Yeah, that's a cool thing that I can do. So that's been weird, but in a really good way. As for the actual medical part of surgery, I'm still using silicone tape on my scars, and I feel like they're reaching a good point, fading wise. They've gotten a lot like thicker in like width, but I feel like that's normal. My nipples, I've kind of given up hope on reducing the scarring on them because it really doesn't seem like it's going away. I tried putting scar tape on them too, and it doesn't seem like it's doing a lot. All it's doing is like messing with the pigment of the actual nipple, so I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna keep using scar tape for my actual incisions for the rest, like for the next half year, and then see what they do normally. There's really hasn't been anything like noteworthy about it at all, besides the the relief of not having that on me anymore. I have full sensation back in everything around the incision. I feel my nipples much more now than I did before surgery, because I feel like my nipples were almost completely numb, and now after surgery they feel like nipples. Like, I would say the most uncomfortable thing about surgery is just that now my nipples are very sensitive, so like if I have like shirts coarse shirts brushing on them, it hurts, and it's like, and it's irritating, and I never had that before. If I touch my scarf, like there's no numbness anywhere, like all the whole of it is fully like full sensation, and I didn't expect that, so that is a plus. And now is the time of the video where you see what it actually looks like. This is what I've got. Like I said, the nipple scars are really thick, and they're really noticeable and evident. They're protruding outwards. Don't know what I can do about that, really. I hope it goes away on its own, but I probably won't. So all I can hope for is for it to calm down as the scars heal more. This scar I'm really happy with because I feel like it's fading a lot. It's really flat, and I feel like once it's fully healed, it's gonna be like really seamless into my skin. This one is a bit more contentious, but you know, it's how it is. There isn't any more dog earring on it, but I do think it's pretty cool that you can tell all of the like all of the stitches. Like it's not just like a line, it is the whole thing of like you know, the jagged line with the stitches visible on it. I think that's cool because I don't feel like you see that area often nowadays, and I don't think that's a fault of my surgeon because I've seen other people go to the surgeon and not have this at all. It's just what my skin does, and that's cool. I personally think it's really cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You probably don't know if you only know me from this channel or from my Instagram account, but I'm an artist, as in like I draw. That's what I want to do for a living. And I think like the way I feel when I look at myself nowadays is the same feeling I get when I look at finished drawing that took me so long and so much effort to do. It's the, you know, I can pick it apart. I can see the imperfections. I can see the things where I went wrong, but overall it's satisfying, and it's like, whoa, I got there. It took so much fucking time and effort, but I got there, and I like it. And I don't think there's much more that I can say about it. I'm so happy to have gotten to these milestones, and if there's anyone here who's been there since day one, I'm so happy to have had you on my journey. Obviously, it's gonna be a forever thing. It's not like a thing that just ends. Just like life, it'll stop growing. And just like that, transition never really stops. But I feel like most of the things that I wanted to happen have happened. And at least on that front, I'm happy. And I guess this is what I wanted to say. I could say so much more, but even when writing it down, if you see me like keep looking like off to the sides, it's because I've written down a list of things that I wanted to talk about, and even when having written it down, I feel like I have so much more to say. I feel like I'm cutting off myself short, but I could be here forever. If I keep harping on about it, I'm never gonna stop. So I'm just gonna say thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I guess I'll see you in my next update, whenever that's gonna be. It's probably gonna be my 1 year after top surgery, but who knows, we'll see. And again, thank you so much again, and I'll see you next time.